believe in the gun. And our players don't use it most days. They use it every day.
In my 20 years as head coach, I've used the gun every single year. Well, my dream as a coach that everybody would grow up with the gun, because getting all those reps would make my job a lot easier.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the NABC Championship webinar series. And our next speaker, Fran Fraschilla. I got some special thanks to put out there to the NABC staff, Jim Haney, Reggie Mitten, Troy Hilton, for all their support, and the rest of their staff. They've all been fantastic. Special thanks to Mike Bray, the past president, who just passed the crown to Jamie Dixon at TCU, who's now the president of the NABC. I would say that all the guys, the coaches that are on the board of directors have been unbelievably supportive in marketing and getting things out. Championship Productions, I want to throw this out because Coach Fraschilla was going to be one of our speakers in Chicago or Myrtle Beach, Springfield, Nashville, and Las Vegas. And I already told you there's a great deal coming your way on if you can get all those virtual clinics that we put together. Next one, just thanking Championship Productions, Bill Bergen, Nate Landis, and Daryl Bennett. We've got one of the best, and I say friend because he's been fantastic to us. I would also say that last year when we had the June Scholastic Recruiting event for the NJCAA, since I'm the rep for two-year college coaches, Fran came and spoke, and he was absolutely perfect and flawless. And the message he provided to all the women and the men was very well received and greatly appreciated. Coach has been at Manhattan from 1992 to 96. He was at St. John's from 1996 to 98. Then went to New Mexico. His career record's 176 and 99. His championships, is the MAC champion the regular season in 93 and 95, MAC tournament champion in 93. Awards, he was the MAC Coach of the Year in 95, Manhattan College Hall of Fame. 2012 basketball, he was the Hall of Fame. And then also he's been in 5 NIT tournaments, 3 NCAA tournaments. The one that I always say shows unbelievable commitment to this profession and the NABC is his willingness to support and speak on behalf of the NABC. For 38 years he's been a member. With that, I'd like to welcome a friend of mine on Offensive Concepts, Fran Fraschilla. Thanks, Coach, for being with us.
All right, thank you, Tommy. It's a pleasure, and really excited to be here. It's it's a tough time, obviously, in the country. We're all in a state of confusion, and hopefully everybody's staying safe. Everybody's doing what they're told, so that we can get back to some sense of normalcy. And in the meantime, I know personally, other than taking care of my family, I'm trying to become the best Fran Fraschilla that I can be, whether it's as a father and a husband, my health, my spirituality, and certainly what I enjoy doing probably more than anything, which is talk basketball. So I'm glad to be part of Championship Productions NABC clinics. I think this is a great idea. I've often, as many of you know, been an advocate of off-season improvement, and it's not just for players, but I always ask coaches this: if you've coached 10 years, have you coached 1 year 10 times, or have you actually coached 10 years? Do you have a fixed mindset, as the author Carol Dweck would say, or do you have a growth mindset? And most of the great coaches I've been around have growth mindsets, constantly willing to evaluate what they're doing as far as teaching the game, coaching the game, and figuring out how to do it better. And I try to do that every off season myself, even though I haven't coached now for quite a while. One thing I tell people quite regularly, and this is a true statement, I learned something about the game every week. Every single week of my life, there's something about the game of basketball that I wish I'd have known 25 or 30 years ago. But I'm constantly learning, and when I learn, I try to give it back. And so that's what we're going to try to do today. I'm going to try to give you some ideas offensively about some really good stuff that I've seen. I think it works. I'll show you why I think it works. Some of it's from around the world. Some of it's from coaches that you're very familiar with. And I want to just pass that on.
Coach,
One
can
of
I
the
ask
things
you?
I've learned about watching the game so closely at courtside the last 17 or 18 years at ESPN is just to watch great coaches coach against each other. And I get the good fortune to be at practices, and I watch preparation, both sides, both teams. And the one thing I would tell you is every good coach has a plan. Uh, Everybody I know that when I cover a game for ESPN, everybody has a plan, and it's usually a good plan. The key is to being a very good coach is, can you adjust to the plan? Whether it's what the team is running against you, what you need to do to adjust in game, or what you have in your defensive or offensive arsenal that can adjust to the opponent's original plan. Very good coaches do that. Great coaches adjust to the adjustment. They have a plan. Let's say the opponent's defense adjusts, and do you have an adjustment to the adjustment? I think that's so critical. And I will tell you that I've told a lot of young coaches as they start out their careers, it's much easier to be a really good defensive coach than it is a good offensive coach. I honestly believe I could take 5 guys off the street who are reasonably good athletes and drill them in shell drill for an hour. And if they had heart and toughness, they would be a very good defensive team. Offense, on the other hand, requires a lot of fundamental skills: passing, catching, shooting, footwork, etc. It also involves flow and spacing. And it also involves identifying the defense's plan and then making the adjustment to the plan. So I think that's critical as you look at watch some of these tapes in the off season and reevaluate maybe what you think that you can do better. And I think this is a perfect vehicle, championship productions clinics to do that. So hopefully you'll get some of those ideas. Couple things I just want to throw at you, and for young coaches who are watching, just write this down, okay? I don't have it on a PowerPoint. I got this from my good friend Gordy Chiesa, who was a former NBA assistant coach for many, many years. He's still an NBA guru. A lot of NBA coaches still value his counsel. He spent 16 years with Jerry Sloan, John Stockton, and Karl Malone. So he saw every kind of offense, every kind of defense, every kind of coverage. He was part of trying to guard the best players in the world, and he was trying to figure out how to help Jerry Sloan get Stockton, Malone, Hornacek open against the best defenses in the world. And Gordy gave me this a long time ago. Some of you already have it. You've heard me say it, but I'm going to give it to you so you can evaluate where you are in the offseason. The 5 characteristics of great coaches. Number 1, teaching skills. You have to be a good teacher. You have to know how to teach the game of basketball. No different than thinking back to your days as a student when you really were, when you were really caught up in a great teacher's class. You have to be able to teach the game of basketball in a way that your players understand. The second thing I think that is a characteristic of great coaches is communication skills. Being able to, simply get your message across to your players so that there's clarity, that there's no question as to what you mean exactly. It could be communication in terms of your terms that you use on the court, your glossary, your dictionary. It could be your communication with your players on and off the court. What are your communication skills like? Organizational skills. I think this is critical also. How organized are you? 12 months a year, what's your plan? How do you go about organizing what you know, what you're trying to communicate, and how to get it, how it's taught in the best, simplest, most concise way possible. For example, my practices in October and early November were always about 2.5 hours. My practices in February were about 45 minutes. And we wanted to make sure that we had a plan for the early part of the year and a plan for the late part of the season. I was a big believer in fresh legs going into the month of March. And so in order to be able to do that, have that kind of plan, you have to be organized. So that's the third thing, organizational skills. The fourth thing, motivational skills. Now more than ever, you're trying to figure out how to push these young men and women's buttons so that they will work to their best possible capability, that they'll be coachable and understand that you're trying to get them to play together with their teammates, and you're trying to motivate them to be the best they can be individually. The fifth thing is, for coaches, great coaches, is under pressure skills. How are you under pressure? How are you in the final 2 minutes of a game? How are you in reacting to the adversity of a game or a season? Critical to me. And I think it's something that you can practice. I do. I think some of it is innate. Some of it is character, your own character, but I think some of it can be practiced. Jeff Van Gundy taught me this a long time ago, excuse me. You have to make as many pressure decisions in the non-pressure time of the off season. There are a lot of things that are going to happen in your season from November to March that you already know are going to happen. You don't know when and where, but you know they're going to happen. The key is to prepare for those pressure situations in the non-pressure time of the off season, whether it's your special situations, whether how you're going to handle certain discipline situations. They are going to pop up at some point, and you have to have the ability to handle pressure in a way that is fitting with what coaches are supposed to do. So 5 characteristics of great coaches: teaching skills, communication skills, organizational skills, motivational skills, and under pressure skills. Okay. Now, one thing I was telling Tommy McDonald before we came on is I have so much free time and I'm watching so much tape. I actually might put together my own playbook this spring and summer. The likelihood is I'm never going to coach again, but I'd really like, there's so much good stuff out there right now. And there's so many things that you now have to adjust for offensively versus a good defense or a great defense, that I'm almost thinking of putting something together for myself, because I've been watching tape, and I've seen a lot of good stuff. And so today what I'm going to do is give you some things that I think you must be able to do in your offense, because you are going to see exactly what I said earlier. You're going to see defensive adjustments. Good coaches have a plan. Very good coaches make an adjustment to the plan. Great coaches make an adjustment to the adjustment. One final thing. I was told about 20 years ago that Larry Brown, who is a great coach and a Hall of Famer, was a great coach because he could see all 10 players on the court. That's what made him a great coach. And I was in the middle of my career, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I can do that. And in fact, all coaches should be able to see all 10 and know who's out of place, who made a mistake, who didn't set a screen, who wasn't in proper help position. And so when I heard that about Coach Brown, it made it sound like he was the only guy doing it. And by the way, he is a great coach. I watched him at SMU for the time he was here, and I live a mile away. Truly one of the best coaches we have. But you have an opportunity with the ability to watch film in the off season right now, probably more so than you ever have, to train your eyes to watch all 10. Okay, that is not uncommon. In fact, the better coach you are, the more likely it is that you see all 10 and you understand what all 10 are doing at the same time. We're not talking 22 guys in football. We're not talking, I don't know, I guess it's 22 in soccer. I'm not sure. I think it's 11 on the side. We're talking 10 guys, 5 on offense, 5 on defense. So I would encourage you to train your eyes in the offseason, watching tape. And I'm going to show you some things today that maybe you may not notice the first time, but there's subtleties that I think will help. All right, let's get this going. I don't want to screw this up. I'm going to share the screen right now. And Tommy Mack, can you hear me? Tommy McDonald?
Perfect, Coach. Yes, everything's perfect.
Okay, so what I want to do is at some point, if you have questions that pop up on the screen, Tom, and if you want to give me a thumbs up, if you want to just get my attention over something that maybe somebody sees, we don't have to stop with questions every 2 minutes. But if we get to a certain point during the flow of this video, I want to be able to answer some of these questions, okay? All right, here we go. Now, the first thing I want to show you is this is called a boomerang, okay? One of the things that's starting to happen in offensive basketball is we're seeing more switching than ever before, okay? Teams are switching equals more than ever. And when I say equals, I mean ones and twos and threes, threes and fours. And in many cases now, teams are switching all four and sometimes all five. Okay. So this is called a boomerang. And this is an idea that I saw. It's a European idea, but I've seen some college teams run it. I'm going to show you 3 different actions. And what it basically is that you have a plan, a play. The defense makes an adjustment, and you make your adjustment to the adjustment. So I'm going to just show you the play. And here we go. This is Texas Tech. Okay, so there's a ball screen. We get rid of it, and we drive it. So let's take this back now, and let's watch it from the beginning, okay? Okay, there's a switch, okay? Now, Bill Self, late in last season, was not happy with his pick and roll coverage, so he started to switch at 4 spots, 1 through 4. And right now you have Jarrett Culver, who ended up being a first-round pick, being guarded by Mitch Lightfoot, who's a 4-man, and theoretically Culver's quicker than. So right now, the defense sees a mismatch, and they're locked in, okay? You notice the weak side, all 5 guys are essentially watching the ball because they know their teammate is on an island and there's a mismatch. Now, what we're going to do here on offense is Culver's going to get rid of it quickly. And Matt Mooney's going to boomerang it right back. Now, when he gets rid of it, you notice how the defender comes up on the ball. The weak side defenders stand up and relax. And what's going to happen here is Mooney's going to boomerang it right back to the mismatch for Culver. And he takes him off the dribble. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time. Okay, and this is an action versus teams that switch when you create what you perceive to be a mismatch. Okay, there's the switch and the mismatch. Boomerang it right back, drive it with a live dribble. Okay, I'm going to show you another example here. This is Colgate in the NCAA tournament against Tennessee, and this is a game that went down to the wire last year. So again, different actions. Okay, you can use a boomerang action in any part of your pick and roll offense. This is a little screener by Colgate to get the big up into a high ball screen. There's the switch. Okay, now Burns, the guard, knows there's a switch and there's a big on him now. Watch the offensive player, his teammate, come from the wing to the top so that he can be an outlet to make the boomerang pass. Okay, so there's the boomerang. Okay, you see the gaps created, and we're going to go right out on mismatch. Okay, another example: Creighton dribble handoff. There's a switch. Okay, so right now we got a big on Mintz. I think, and Mintz was hurt this year. He's going to Kentucky next year to be a backup role player. So, and Greg McDermott is a genius offensively. If there was one of 5 guys I'd want to study this spring, I would want to study Greg McDermott's offense. Now, keep in mind, Greg McDermott also has some great shooters, so his offense really works. But let's see what we've got now. We're going to get a boomerang pass back to the point guard, and Xavier's big man is stuck on an island right now. Okay? And what we've got right here, if you're going to use the boomerang on the catch, this should be some sort of rip and go right here. Low and go by the defender in the mismatch. Okay? There's the drive. Defender helps up, and we dump it off. Okay? So this is clever offense now. And again, and this is something I feel strongly about, ladies and gentlemen. If a defense makes an adjustment to your offense and you don't have an adjustment to the adjustment, your kids are looking at you like, Coach, you got to give us a plan. You got to have something for us. So with the advent of switching, okay, the boomerang is something that you should have in your arsenal, okay? One last time. There's the switch. there's the boomerang, and there's the drive. Okay? Something just to keep in mind. Okay? Now, what else can we run in order to create a problem for a defense when they switch equals on ball screens and dribble handoffs? So here's Matt Langle's a very good young coach up at Colgate. Good offensive concepts. They spread the floor well. He's got good guards. And let's take a look right here. We just showed you Colgate from last year in a boomerang action. So here's a little ball screen action. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is another boomerang right here, okay? So there's the switch, okay? And this is this season. All right, so let's go back and watch that. That's from this year. Okay, look, they got it. Now, this is a good little action down here. This is where we screen the big man so that his defender on the ball screen at the top of the key is late. Okay, very common. High school coaches, I know you're using more and more pick and roll. This is a good way to free up the screener. By the way, the idea of pick and roll in basketball right now at the college and high school level is more and more prevalent than ever before, thanks to our NBA and European friends. And the number one job description of good pick and roll is to create indecision at the point of the screen. Okay, is getting the defense to not sure as to whether they're switching, staying, helping early, helping late, flat, but we're trying to create indecision here. Okay, so there's a switch. Rang right back, no hesitation. Now look at all that room now on the weak side. Okay, and now they see the mismatch, and they're going to start to help, but the guard has a live dribble now with which now to exploit. He does a really good job right there. Okay, so boomerang action. Okay, let's see what we have right here. Okay, this is what we call, I mean, you can call this anything you want, slip screen, ghost screen. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was speaking at a clinic out at John Gross's University of Illinois clinic, and I don't know if it's because ghost was in my head or I called this an invisible screen because the screener disappears, okay? It looks like it's going to be a ball screen here. This is the Utah Jazz. So watch Royce O'Neal look like he's going to come up and set a side ball screen. Now, we know that because these guys are relatively equal-sized players that the Pistons would probably switch this, okay? And for you high school guys who, by the way, have been playing small ball for about 100 years, because most of us have to be, necessity is the mother of invention. You're playing four guards sometimes or a smaller player. You know, the screening action actually is an advantage for the defense if they're switching it. So what teams have started to do is you can call this a slip, you can call it a blur screen, a ghost screen, an invisible screen. I don't really care what you call it. Make sure your kids know what you call it so there's no hesitation. If it's a ghost screen, make sure it's a ghost screen from the start of the year to the end of the year. I think one of the things that I did best as a coach is I had a dictionary of terms for my players. So we knew every term we utilized. I would encourage you to put together a dictionary for your kids of sayings and actions. So there's, you know, there's nomenclature and you can shortcut everything. Because all I got to do is say, watch the blur screen here. But watch how O'Neal looks like he's going to screen on the ball, but he disappears. And when he disappears, these two defenders aren't sure as to whether they should switch or not. Again, causing indecision at the point of the screen, which is your goal. Okay, so the screener disappears, and Quinn Snyder is no dummy. Okay, this play is set up for Joe Ingles to get downhill with his strong hand. Okay, and I'm going to ask you guys and ladies this: are you designing offense to to accommodate your best player's strengths. Okay? This play would not be as effective on the other side of the floor if Joe Ingles had to beat his man to the middle here on a go screen with his right hand. Okay? So are you accommodating the strengths of your players and creating an opportunity to get them downhill on this particular play? Go screen, drive. Okay? Okay, here's another action here. Let's see what we got. Okay. Little screen to screener at the foul lane, create a little indecision. Here comes the side ball screen, 3 away. Okay? And when pick and roll became popular 5, 7, 8 years ago, we worked on, hey, make sure you get a body, get your chest on the defender's shoulder, get legal, offensive player with the ball. Don't use the screen until the screener's got 2 feet on the ground, all that stuff. How many moving screens have you seen in the last decade on side and high ball screens? 1 million. Okay. So what we've got here, instead of screening, he's just going to go screen and disappear. Boom. And there's the gap. Okay. All right. This is a good little wrinkle. This is a good end of clock play for the end of the quarter or the end of the half. It's also a good end of clock in a shot clock situation. Watch that. You got the 2 bigs, and it looks like a horn set. And you'll see out of a horn set, one big's going to act like he's coming over a screen for the other big into a screen to screener. And all we're trying to do is empty out the elbow and the low post so that, and I think this is Burns. I think he's a junior now. He's a good player from Houston, point guard, really good mid-major player. He's going to drive into the open gap, and you see the shooter in the corner. The defender is likely not to leave him and give up a 3 here. Okay? So once we eliminate the help at the elbow or the low post, we got to drive to the basket. Okay, let's watch that again. That's out of a horn set. Again, good late clock action. Okay, very subtle, excellently designed play. A lot of teams are using this now to get their quickness downhill. And there's the drive.
Coach, we have a couple questions about the boomerang action.
Yes.
Can I go through them?
Sure.
Does boomerang action have to be only used in a pick and roll, or is it effective in other actions when action is switched?
Any situation where an action is switched, absolutely. And really that's what it's designed to do, is to take advantage of what you think may be a mismatch between one of your better guards and someone who's too slow to guard them on the perimeter. So it's possible that on a down screen action and a catch, let's say at the top of the key, let's say off a staggered double, Tom, that we get some sort of switching action out top from a big switching onto a guard on a down screen. Absolutely have an opportunity to boomerang there as well. What the boomerang does is when you get rid of the ball initially, the defense tends to take a breath and catch their breath and relax. On the boomerang right back to that mismatch, that's when you have an opportunity to exploit that mismatch. You have to make sure your offensive players away from the ball, let's say it was off of a staggered double away, that those guys clear out and get outside the 3-point line so that there's driving lanes for the boomerang action either side of the defender that's switched.
Is the boomerang good against hedge or blitz?
There's other things I'm going to show you that I think would be good against blitzes and hard hedges. And one of the things, and I think we may have 1 or 2 on there, I would say not necessarily. What I would set up is anytime a hard hedge is used by a defensive team in pick and roll, I would immediately swing the ball and get rid of it. In other words, in the direction I'm dribbling it, And the roller needs to get to the basket as quickly as possible. And we want to go, let's just say, if I can have you guys visualize this, slot to the roller inside. In other words, you want to come off a screen with a hard hedge where the defender is caught way out on the floor, pass it ahead, and then look for the roller heading to the basket. I may have a couple of actions on there, Tommy. I'll show you.
All right. Okay. How would you run the boomerang if you want to exploit the defensive guard in the low post that's switched on the offensive big?
So my rule, and this is a rule that I stole from Ettore Messina, okay, the great coach in Europe, who's used to playing with a 24-second clock. I realize we have some high school coaches on who do not play with a shot clock, and some college coaches who play with the 30-second clock. And my rule is, if we don't have a good boomerang mismatch on the perimeter, to run your offense through with the idea that you have a certain amount of time to take advantage of the mismatch inside. Let's say your rule as a college, you play with a shot clock. My rule would be, if we don't get the initial boomerang on the perimeter, run the offense, see if we can exploit the mismatch inside. But at 8 seconds, we have to go to an end of clock play, because we don't want to spend the entire time trying to throw it inside. We all know that we've seen so many turnovers take place because we think there's a mismatch inside of a little guarding a big. And the problem is, both in our rules and in FIBA rules, you can crowd the lane with help when there's a mismatch inside, big on small. So I would run my offense to where we still want to look inside, but not at the point where we're forcing it in. And then under 8, we're going to get it back out on the perimeter, and one of my guards is going to make a play. Particularly the mismatch on the perimeter is still there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. If you don't mind, I'm going to get some more stuff in here. Okay. All right, now this is, let me just get my crib sheet here, because I've got all these plays down. I want to make sure I go over. But let's see what we have here. Okay, so this is sort of a go screen here. Running ahead a little bit. Sorry about that. You guys don't realize how technologically savvy I've gotten since the shutdown. All right, so this is a little action here, and this is ice defense. Okay, this is going to be ice pick and roll. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, the ice pick and roll is that we're going to keep Joe Ingles from utilizing a ball screen to the middle and his strong hand, okay? And Rudy Gobert already knows that they're in an ice. So this defender on Joe is trying to step up and get Joe forced to the outside of the floor and isolated. And the screener's man, at some point, once we've got Joe forced to the outside, he's going to back off and soften up, and we're keeping Joe on his weak hand. That's what it looks like right here. Rudy Gobert sees that an ice coverage is coming, so he's going to ghost it early. And when he ghosts it early, see, there's no screen there. We've created indecision on the part of the man guarding Ingles and the big defending the roll man, okay? So now Joe Ingles is what my man Gordy Chiesa would say is crazy slow, okay? And what he means by that is, in pick and roll action, slower the better, okay? There's no rush here by Joe Ingles. He's Tom Brady right now, trying to pick apart this defense by, I believe it's the Trailblazers. So there's the go screen, and you'll see that because Ingles has his man on his back, shooter in the right corner, and a defender making sure he's not giving up the layup or the lob, Ingles is going to keep it right to the basket, okay? Another idea of a go screen. Okay, I like this. You're going to like this. I told you earlier that Greg McDermott is an offensive savant. So let's watch this play right here set itself up from the very beginning, okay? Okay, now this play starts out looking like it's going to be dribble handoffs into a little weave with a high ball screen. Okay, one action, another action, and here comes the screen. You see how that big guy is going to come up? Excuse me 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Okay, now this looks like a screen on the ball with 4 out, 1 in. Okay? That's what it looks like it's being set up right now, is a high ball screen, run out ball screen for Zagorowski, the point guard. But really it turns into a go screen and then what I would call a misdirection play, a play that's looking like it's going to the left and a high ball screen. We got a go screen action, we got misdirection, and we've got a screen away for a great shooter coming off. Okay, so let's see if I can run this back without losing my place. Okay. Dribble handoff, dribble handoff, dribble handoff, go screen. And I've been assured that you can go back and watch this in order to get that play. That's a great three-point shot play. Now, that was in the first half against a good Villanova defense. So they're going to run the same play again. And watch 24, Mitch Ballock, good kid, known him since 9th grade from Eudora, Kansas. He is going to play in the NBA. He's not on anybody's draft list. Don't worry about it. He's going to play in the NBA. Just book that. Trust me. And Mitch is a great. He has a great feel for the game. So you notice how Mitch is getting everybody in place because this play is for him. Okay, now this is the same exact action. Okay, couple dribble handoffs. Here comes the big to set the screen. And it's going to be a go screen. Now watch what happens. Colin Gillespie, who's a defensive, who's one of the smartest players in the country, knows that the screen away is coming for Mitch Ballock because they got him on this on the first half. So he's going to read this, Mitch, and he knows the jump shot play is off. Okay, so how do you flow your set plays into your offense? Now, one of the things that Creighton does really well, which a lot of teams are going to, is a 5-out offense. Okay, so Gillespie takes away the jump shot. And right now we're in 5-out, and you're seeing this across the landscape. 5-out, this could be a back cut here by 34. 34 can screen Gillespie so that Ballock comes off. But again, flow from the go screen and the set play for the 3 into 5-out. Okay? Okay, really well done. I'm going to show you that one more time from the start. I'm going to give you a little nugget here at the end. Ghost, nothing. 5-out. Okay, now, in pick and roll or in dribble handoffs, are you teaching your players this? Okay, and this has been something that I've tried to get coaches to incorporate into their offense because this is a European specialty, especially versus non-shooters. But here, I can tell you this right now, the game plan for Villanova is to never go under a screen involving Ballock. Never, ever, ever, okay? And because he's such a great shooter. Gillespie gets caught having to go under, okay? So whether it's a great shooter or, more importantly, if you have a kid who's not a good shooter in pick and roll or DHO, dribble handoff, the rescreen must be automatic, okay? Because if I can go under this screen versus a non-shooter and you don't make me pay, again, have a plan. The defense adjusts to the plan. Do you adjust to the adjustment? So watch what happens. Ballock is going to get the DHO. Gillespie's going to fight like hell to get under, even though he knows he's kind of screwed. And watch the big guy turn around immediately. You see Gillespie with hustle got back to where Ballock was going to shoot that ball. and watch what happens. Rescreen into a jump shot. Okay, so do you have a rescreen action in any of your pick and roll or DHO action? Okay, just asking the question.
Coach, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
We're going to try one thing to see if we can help the video a little bit. It's kind of lagging a dab. Lonnie's
Okay.
going to help you try one thing, and then we'll just keep – it's going great. But we're just going to try to do one thing. If it doesn't go, then we'll just go. Go ahead, Lonnie.
If you could stop your screen share.
Okay.
Okay, now click on it again.
Share screen.
Yep, share screen. And that first window that comes up at the very bottom,
Yep.
it says optimize video.
Hold on there, Monty. Let me stop it and do it again. Optimize. Yes. Check it.
Check that and let's give that a try and see if that improves it at all.
Okay.
Cielo, abierto el Lumber, Bogris y Justa completan quinteto.
Man,
Yeah, that's a
sorry
little
about that.
smoother. No problem.
Okay. All right, guys.
Right back at you.
Oh,
Nota 3 de
We
5
got here.
para...
I had a list of actions.
Puertas.
But I
Tomás
certainly
Gielo.
am going to remember all these. By the way,
you know
this
what? We can stop it so you don't hear that audio too.
oh yeah, let me turn the audio down. Hold on.
I think that might just play. If you go
Okay.
back one more time and exit out,
Hold on.
when
I
you
think
come
I
back
get-
in, there's a
let's
box
do it.
in
I
there
think I'm
that'll
gonna get
tell
this
you.
now. Say share screen.
And then down where it says optimize video.
Let me do this one more time. Got it.
You'll
Optimize video.
uncheck the box that says play computer audio or something like that.
Share computer sound.
Just unclick that.
You have the screen. You have my screen back on.
Yep, we do.
Okay, good. All right,
You're
thank
good
you
to
for
go.
your patience. All right, so now this is a little rescreen action here. This is what we were talking about. I still hear the sound, Lonnie. Do you?
I don't hear any sound.
Okay, good. I hear it in my headset. It's not going to bother me at all.
Oh, I
Okay,
hear it
so
now.
here, let's go back and take you back now. This guy is one of the best pick and roll players in the world, Marcelino Huertas. He plays in Spain. You can look him up on YouTube. He is the Tom Brady of pick and roll defensive coverages. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning have seen every blitz you can ever throw at them. This guy has seen every pick and roll coverage. So let's just take you to real simple stuff here. All right. So now here's the high ball screen and watch the defender go under. All right. When the defender goes under, and Huertas is a good shooter, he's much more of a playmaker, passer. But if you go under, he will make you pay by going under. Okay? So let's take a look and see what else we have here. Okay, you notice how the defender goes under. All right? Anytime a defender goes under in any DHO or ball screen action that you're running, if he goes under and you don't make him pay, he's going to keep going under. So again, do you have an adjustment to the defense's adjustment? And it's a cat and mouse game. Basketball is simply this. The offense gains the advantage, the defense adjusts, and then the defense gains an advantage. The offense adjusts, and then the offense gains an advantage. And that's true in basketball. And if you're not thinking that way, both offensively and defensively, then you need to start, because that's the essence of how great basketball is played. Okay? So don't tell me you're running good plays and you're trying to figure out why a team is stopping you. You must diagnose what they're doing to stop you and adjust to the adjustment. So this defender goes under. The guard decides he's not going to shoot it because he's going to wait for the rescreen. And there's a second rescreen. Okay? He went under twice. and you get fouled. So let's take this back again. I want to show you that one more time because I really think this is important. Under. Rescreen immediately. It's automatic. Big guys in Europe, they do this in their sleep. They're trained to do this when they're 15 years old, I'm telling you. Okay, now watch this. They go under a second time. Okay, now there are some teams, again, because we don't want to keep the offense at an advantage by continually rescreening. There are some teams that will trap on the second rescreen. Okay, and if there's a trap on the second rescreen, you must have an adjustment to that trap if you're on offense, okay? And the adjustment to the trap on the second rescreen is what I would call a short roll. And that is, since the guard is being trapped, he doesn't have a time for his big guy to run all the way to the rim. So the big guy is going to cut off his route, almost like a wide receiver or tight end would cut off his route on a blitz. And he's going to get a short roll right at the foul line. Okay? And when he gets the short roll right now, he's basically playing 3-on-2, or in this case, 2-on-1. Okay? So you had a defensive coverage under. We had a rescreen. We had a second defensive coverage under. Then we had a third coverage under and trap. Short roll by the offense as an adjustment. 2-on-1, fouled at the rim. Okay, now this is a case where the defender still goes over the top, but he gets over the top and Ingles is still guarded. So Gobert will turn and rescreen. Okay, and here's the rescreen. And typically in the NBA right now, you may not be playing this way unless you have a 6'7", I'm talking about high school guys now, slow kid who you don't want involved in pick and roll. So what you'll do is you'll drop him to where the defender is. I think that's Aldridge. Everything's relative. So your 6'5" postman who's a defensive end in football can play in drop coverage if you want. But if you're going to play in drop coverage, I would suggest that you continually come over the top of screens. Okay, instead of going under. And maybe in high school you're not getting rescreen, but I would be concerned about that. So this is drop coverage versus a rescreen. Okay, and here comes Joe. Now look how slow Joe is. Okay, this is Joe Ingles. Crazy slow is the term that I use. He's got everything under control right now. Your guys in high school and college have no idea how to play crazy slow because they want to show you that they want to show you their speed. But the problem is they make fast decisions without processing the defense. Okay. And I sure hope I'm not losing anybody here because this NBA stuff is definitely applicable to high school basketball if you know how to use it. So the defender gets through on the screen. I think that's DeRozan. He's going to come over the top, and the coverage is going to be drop coverage. There's the rescreen. Here's Joe being crazy slow. Now, I'm going to show you this now because we're going to show you this in a little while. Joe Ingles right now sees pick and roll basketball at 3 levels, okay? I learned this from watching Matt Dellavedova at St. Mary's. Level 1 is him and the man on the ball. He's no factor, okay? If your point guard in high school is worried about the guy pressuring him and he's not able to see at level 2 and level 3, you're going to have 0 pick and roll success. So Joe Ingles right now, this guy, DeRozan, is basically invisible to him. Level 2 is reading the screener's man, okay? He's reading Aldridge right now, okay? And level 3 is he's reading the other 3 defenders in the play. Great pick and roll defense is 5-man defense. So Joe has defeated level 1 right here, That guy's not a factor. He's at level 2 right now, getting ready to destroy level 2, and if necessary, destroy level 3. So let's see what we got. Let's see how crazy slow Joe is. Simple, okay? Dishes it off for the foul. Okay, this is my man Huertas again. In transition, double drag. I think this is double single drag. This is a drag action, single drag. Okay, so a lot of you high school coaches are running this drag out of transition. If you got a crafty point guard, you want to get those guys out beyond the 3-point line. Simple. Defender goes under. Okay, so now Huertas, if he wants to, can step back and shoot this like he did earlier, but he's not going to. He's going to exploit. Okay. Crazy slow. He's defeated level 1. Now he's looking at level 2, the big. He's also keeping his eye on level 3. Makes his own shot and gets fouled. Okay, automatic dribble handoff, rescreen. If you know Monte Morris, he's like, and this is not a knock on Monte. I love this kid. One of my favorite players I've ever covered. But Monte is a facilitator. He's not going to shoot this 3 behind a 7-foot guy. So Bogdanovich knows that. Just like guys that are going to guard your quick point guard are not going to shoot the ball from outside. So Bogdanovich is going to go under on the DHO here. Jokic knows that. Monte knows that. So they're just going to rescreen it. And he's defeated level 1. Now he's watching Gobert and Jokic at level 2, but he's also got his eye on level 3. Okay, pulls up and shoots a mid-range shot, and that's his shot. Okay, now, okay. This was a question that was asked earlier, okay? Somebody asked about boomerangs when there's a hard hedge. No. What you want to do right now here on a hard hedge or a blitz is either advance the ball to 5 because the defender guarding Jokic is way out on the floor, and then we're going to try to go inside to Jokic on the roll, okay? I'm going to see if we can hit Jokic on the roll if we advance it to the next logical teammate on the wing. That's how you would initially attack a hard hedge or a blitz, okay, is to advance it out across the court, roll the big guy. Now, the thing I always liked when my teams were trapped is I wanted to make you pay for blitzing, which is a trap, or hard hedging by short rolling and creating a press offense right now. See, right now we're about to get into a press offense versus a trap. 3 outlets on the right wing, Jokic rolling, left corner, and the long diagonal Millsap here who should start moving to the basket, just like your press O in the full court. What we're going to do right here is hit the short roll, I believe. Okay, short roll. All right, that's our press O. Look at that, beautiful. 3 outlets and a long diagonal, and you got Millsap heading to the basket. Okay, so do you have an offense versus the hard hedge or the blitz? Because I'm going to tell you, coaches, this, ladies and men, if you don't have an adjustment to this adjustment, your team's going to lose faith in you. Okay? So this is something that you can practice every day. You can put them in situations. You can develop this in individual instruction, 1-on-0 and 2-on-0. But this is a perfect opportunity to short roll right here. The long roll is not open because it's going to take too long, okay? Now, a couple things. This is a Bob Hurley special right here, okay? By the way, 5 of the 10 best coaches I've ever been around in my life were high school coaches, okay? And Bob Hurley is one of them, okay? Now in the Naismith Hall of Fame. Mike Leonardo, a great coach at Bayonne Marist, who's no longer coaching, is still one of the best coaches I've ever been around. Al Rhodes out at Warsaw, Indiana, another genius. Kenny Hoffpower, who coached at Highland Park High School in Dallas. Those 4 guys are off the top of my head are 4 of the 10 best coaches I've ever been around. But what you have right here is how do you handle a blitz trap in pick and roll or anywhere, really? And Coach Hurley's rule right here was 2 hard dribbles away from the trap, out, okay, away from these guys. And when you take the 2 hard dribbles out of the trap, you not only stretch the defense out, but you create time and space for yourself in order to find the open man. And I love the reverse pivot, right? I believe this is a reverse pivot. Jeff Van Gundy would love this. I spent a year with those guys in New York in between coaching jobs in the late 90s. I learned so much basketball. So watch this now. There's the hard hedge or the blitz. There's the dribble out. And see that reverse pivot? Really great. That's great stuff. There's your press O right there, right now. Short roll. Boom. Layup. Okay? Are you making adjustments to the adjustment?
Coach, can I ask 2 questions?
Yes.
First one is, on rescreen action, should the screener always work to get lower regardless?
Yes. Good question. The screener should always get below the defender when the defender goes under. So it's a great point, Tom. Thank you for the question, whoever asked it. So on a rescreen, you always get back underneath the defender.
No matter what.
An angle for the ball to come off on the rescreen and potentially turn the corner, which is going to happen a lot.
No matter what, even if it's great or an average shooter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's a great shooter and he's got a shot behind the rip on the rescreen, yes. But the point is, on a rescreen, we're always going to try to get under that defender because we want the defender to come over the top if he can, because that's going to put the defense again in a little bit of what did I say earlier? They're going to be disorganized and we're going to create indecision.
Do you have any great drills for teaching the rescreen?
Say that again.
Do you have any great drills for the rescreening, how you do it?
Well, here's what I did with my boys, and you guys can do this. I did it with my sons. My son, Matt, who is now at Villanova with Jay Wright. We scripted all this 1-on-0 with a chair when we did our individual workouts. Steve Nash had a great answer. In high school, you might see 3 pick and roll coverages during the season. In college, there's a chance that a college team will see 5 or 6 during the course of a season, and then NBA teams may see 10. You have to figure out as an offensive coach in individual instruction and with your team, how many different coverages you need to work on so that your guards can perfect those offensive solutions to the coverage. So it's just as simple as taking a chair, putting it on the floor, out at the top of the key or side pick and roll. And I was the defender for my sons when we did the workouts. We put a chair down. I simulated a coverage, whether it was a hard hedge or a flat hedge or a switch, and then we attacked each coverage with a solution. And that's basically what we're doing today is we're giving you solutions. So you can do this in your individual instruction. And just like teaching a quarterback how to read blitzes and where to dump the ball off, you've got to teach your guards to read pick and roll coverages and give them a solution for every coverage. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. This is what we call a drop coverage. Okay, and this is a good little misdirection play by Michigan to start a second half. And this play is going to start to the left, and it's a decoy. That's what we call an up screen, rip screen, hawk cut. But you see that up screen right here by, I think that's Brooks for Livers. This is a decoy, okay? Brooks is going to pop, and then here comes the step-up ball screen. Now, Maryland is in what we call drop coverage, which means the big fella there, Stick Smith, is going to be back off of the screen. And in drop coverage, the defender is going to come over the top. So this is going to be a little roll. And one of the things I think that you can do better in pick and roll offense is you got to teach your kids, your bigs, we want the guard to be crazy slow, but we want the big to sprint out of the screen to put the maximum pressure on the coverage. The big guy, while the guard is crazy slow, reading at level 1 right here on the ball, level 2, the defender who's in drop, and level 3, the other 3 defenders, the big has got to be fast to the rim to put pressure on the rim. So level 3 guys may have to come and help, and then we can skip it across to the other corner. So right here, drop coverage, indecision, okay? Does the big stay? Does he stay? Pocket pass, foul. Okay? And I want you to watch on the weak side how the defensive player on the weak side corner comes over, because level 3, if Eli Brooks is to get to level 3, and we got just what we wanted here, level 3 is to skip across the court for the open 3. And I think we have some of those clips. Okay, same thing now. Well, we had that's on defense. Here they come on offense. This is the Jazz. Joe Ingles, he's 6'7", crazy slow Joe. Okay, comes over. Okay, now, I believe this is a snake action, okay? When a big is in drop coverage, and you're seeing this more at the college level, and I know we got some coaches, college coaches on here, but even at the high school level, because teams – now I'm going to give you a question right here. If the defender on Joe Ingles goes under – and I know you don't have to – you can say this out loud to yourself. If he goes under, what do you think Gobert's going to do? He's going to rescreen Ingles. We used to teach our bigs to not set a screen out past the guard's shooting range, because the defender would go under, okay? We now almost want him to go under so we can rescreen and put them at a disadvantage. This defender is not going to do that. He is going to go over the screen. And when he goes over the screen, he's going to chase Ingles over. The big is in drop coverage, so we're reading level 1 here, man on the ball. Again, he's no factor to Joe. Okay, level 2 is going to be the big man, and then level 3 are the other 3 defenders. This is what we call a snake move by Joe. He almost like an S curve here. He's going to snake it. Watch the direction of his body, because the defender is trailing. Now he's going to be crazy slow. He's got a 2-on-1 with the big. If any of those guards come off into the lane, Joe's going to lie with his eyes. Okay? He's going to lie with his eyes, because great point guards lie with their eyes. They know where they're going with it, so they're going to get you thinking they're going somewhere else. Nobody comes and helps. Joe drops off a little runner. Okay, again, versus drop coverage. Snake move. Look how he looks up and sees the whole court right now. He's checking level 3 right now. Crazy slow. No one guards him. And the reason no one guards him, and if we have a clip or two, we may have it on this video. I can promise you that good point guards can make that cross-court pass right now, okay? And he's actually in his left hand, so he can throw that ball one-handed, okay? You may not think it's necessary for your kids to be able to do this, but I'm a big believer in being able to find level 3 teammates open on the weak side. And these 2 guys on the weak side, Joe is lying with his eyes by looking at the weak side right now. They are afraid to leave 3-point shooters. Okay? The big is worried. That's Ibaka. He's worried that he's going to get dunked on by Gobert, so he stays back, and Joe gets the layup. Ice coverage. Okay? This is an ice coverage. Isolate him on the sideline. Okay? Drop the big. Now watch here. What Joe's going to do is he's going to dribble it right at the big. Okay? Why are they in ice coverage? Well, A, it might be their favorite coverage on a side pick and roll, but B, we don't want Joe Ingles getting to his strength, his left hand in the middle of the floor. So we are going to adjust to the plan. Okay? The plan for the Jazz is Joe Ingles to the middle of the floor. The adjustment is ice coverage. So do you have an adjustment to the adjustment? Joe Ingles is going to dribble this ball right at the big. Rudy sees it. And I want you to watch number 6 on the weak side, okay? He sees what's going on, all right? And he's trying to get his teammate in position to help he's trying to get his teammate that's going to be on the left block to get ready to help on the little pocket pass here. He's pointing. And again, if you're a high school coach, college coach, you can't do this. But right now, he's trying to get his defender on the weak side underneath on the block to get legal and get 2.9 seconds into the lane. You're allowed to be in the lane 2.9. Joe sees there's a gap here because it's the Knicks, of course, and he's going to dribble it at the big. Rudy's going to roll, and we're going to pocket pass it. Boom. Is that not a beautiful pocket pass right here? Watch the pocket pass right off his hip pocket. Boom. Do you have a plan for ice coverage? And this is more for college coaches because you don't see this as much at the high school level. All right, so here's the ice coverage. So what we're doing now is instead of screening to the middle of the floor, we're going to step up screen. And this is good. This is a good sound defense right here because I don't like it when it's heavy on one side of the floor. It's hard to run. One of the reasons my European friends don't run a lot of side pick and roll in Europe, and it's mostly from the top of the key or the slots, is because defenses can keep the ball on one side with ice coverage. You can see right now there's 3 Jazz players on one side of the floor. So Brad Stevens is going to ice them, and Quinn Snyder's looking right at this. So let's see if Joe Ingles can decipher this. Okay, so the defender's trying to get back around in front. Okay, the post is coming up to support. You got shooters away from the ball. There goes the roll. Pocket pass, foul. Ice coverage. Okay. Again, this is not as applicable in high school and college where you can provide a lot of help side. But I just want you to be able to see this. Perfect. Okay. Again, that's basically a go screen right here. Okay. And this is what we mean by level 3 recognition here. Okay. Again, there's the go screen. The big man's job is to sprint to the rim. Okay, again, over the top. Here comes this is what we call Spain action here. This is a good little action to put in your repertoire. This is screen the screener, and we're screening the big, okay? So the big set the screen for Ingles. The guard sets the screen for the big. We're creating confusion, okay? Look at the lane clogged, okay? Joe's lying with his eyes because they don't want to give up the lob dunk. Level 3 decision-making right there. Okay, now, here's another one. Do you allow your players in pick and roll to reject the screen? It's amazing how many young coaches I talk to, they make their guy run the play instead of reading the play. Now, right now, the defender knows that he's got to force the ball to the help, to the screen. And I want you to watch Huertas lie with his eyes and his body right here. The object of pick and roll is, number 1, cause indecision at the point of the screen. The second object of pick and roll is to get the ball into the paint the easiest way possible. So watch Huertas lie with his eyes and lie with his body. Boom. Okay, now here's what we have: a little floppy action. That's a decoy. Okay, they come out and run out and set a ball screen, a decoy. They want to get the ball back into the maestro's hands. Okay, and here comes the step up pick and roll. Okay, so all this action on the left side was fluff. One of the things that we've brought back from our friends in Europe that is now a big part of the game is if you're going to be a pick and roll team, disguise your pick and roll action. So you run fake stuff one way, back into a ball screen the other way. So here comes the step up screen. Okay. The defender hits the screen and he's going to go over the top. Okay. Huertas brings 2 to the ball. Perfect. All right. So he's reading level 1. He's reading level 2. He sees that those defenders on the weak side have to cover for his big out on the floor. Can you make that pass? Now, it's hard to ask high school guys to do that unless you work on this all the time. Can you make level 3 passes? Okay, and that's when you have a really good point guard. Over the top, over the top, over the top. Big guy's in the lane, level 2. Open man, drops it off. He lies with his eyes.
Coach, I got 3 questions for you.
Okay, I'm going to show you this last play. Okay, bigs are out. Okay, right now, a smart point guard's got 2 men guarding him, and he's got 4 offensive players versus 3. Okay, he reads level 3. He sees the defenders coming in to take away the roll man. Cross court, and of course, we not only have the open shot, but now we've got the defense out of control, and we have a closeout game here. Shot fake, drive it, kick it, make the extra play. Go ahead, Tom.
The first one is, could you recap your 5 characteristics of a great coach?
Yes. Teaching skills, communication skills, organizational skills, motivational skills, under pressure skills.
Next one is this: in rescreening, what if they jam the big man screening?
If they jam him, I'm trying to think what they mean now. We set the screen, and the defender goes 2 removed underneath.
Yeah,
I assume that's what we're talking about.
He's just saying in screening, what if they jam the big man?
We would rescreen again. We would rescreen again. Okay, you have to get off the body of the screener, of the screener's man. You must get off his body, and you still must get below the ball. If they jam him more than once without fouling, then it's nearly impossible to do. So they can jam the first screen and allow their guard on the ball to go under what I would call 3 removed. But in order to jam him again, in my opinion, they cannot do that without fouling. And it's just got to be a simple test of wills right there.
Last question for this is, what are some practice drills or what you could use to implement the level 1 through level 3 pick and roll situations? Great
question. You have to be able to create 2-on-0, or excuse me, first 2-on-0, 3-on-0, 4-on-0 situations that you can drill this offensively. The next thing you want to do is play with what I would call dummy defenders and create scenarios where the defense takes away the guard first, the roller next, okay, with good tags. We call it a tag when a perimeter guy body bumps a little bit, the big guy rolling and then gets back out, or just stays out and cheats out. You have to create recognition drills in 2-on-0, 3-on-0, 4-on-0, and then dummy defense, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and then add live defenders into drill situations. And you can also start this in your individual instruction with a lot of 1-on-0 and 1-on-1 dummy defense.
Can you
So this has to be trained. You must just like you would train a young quarterback in high school to pick up blitzes and find the hot receiver. You have to use your imagination and create those drills that simulate defensive coverages, and then work on recognition in practice. It's a really good question. You can just game this out in your drill development by doing that. It's also a good place to mention that when I was a young head coach at Manhattan College, I had a buddy who was the coach at UMass at the time. His name was John Calipari, and I said to him one night on the phone, I said, I need a drill to simulate traps. So we talked it over the phone. It took 10 minutes, and we came up with just a simple 3-on-3 trap drill. And it's too easy to explain, right? It's too hard to explain it right now without having a diagram. But trust me, it was easy to figure out. And the point is, necessity is the mother of invention. You have to create drills on your own that fit how you're teaching your schemes. Okay? Whether it's pick and roll defense, whether it's pick and roll offense, you must create drills and make sure the drills are progressive, that they build up from 1-on-0 to 2-on-0 to 4-on-0 to 5-on-0 to 2-on-2 to 4-on-4 to 5-on-5. You must build drills that are progressive, and that's how you do it.
Coach, question, what is level 1 read on the ball screen?
Well, the number one read on any ball screen is what's the coverage. Okay? That's where we're talking level 2. What's the coverage? Is it a hard hedge? Is it a flat hedge, which is at the point of the screen? Is it a drop coverage? Is it a blitz? Is it an ice? Is it a switch? Okay? It gets back to what, I heard Steve Nash tell us at a camp once. You must recognize the coverage at the point of the screen and have an adjustment to the coverage. Okay? And again, if you're a high school coach and you don't see ice defense, then you don't have to worry about that during the season. But if you're seeing hard hedges and flat hedges and switches, going all the way back to what we talked about when we showed you the boomerang and the go screen, your players have got to recognize the defense and adjust to the coverage. It's that simple.
Here's the last question for this round. Can you use boomerang versus man or a zone with run the ball screen action against the zone?
I think you can. It's funny. It's funny that it's a funny and good question, because if those of us who've coached for a while understand that the boomerang pass, in and of itself, was part of the way we always attacked zone offense. You see, the key to zone offense is they get to put their defense where they want to put them, but you get to put your mismatch where you want to put it in your offense. So, for example, if we have a slow big at the back of a 2-3 zone, we're going to put a fast, quick guy on that side of the floor, and we may set up an offensive set that swings it to his side first, brings it to the top and the other side, and then on the swing quickly back to his side. It's essentially a boomerang pass where we now can drive that bigger, slower defender on the back of the zone in a closeout situation. I don't think enough coaches who run zone offense, and quite frankly, we don't see great zone offense as much anymore because it's not as part of a defensive coverage as we used to see. But I don't see enough zone coverage putting their best offensive or quickest offensive player or biggest mismatch offensive player versus a defender somewhere in the zone. Coach Knight was brilliant at that in the old days, where he would put a quick wing player on a big, slow 4-man and get the ball away from them first, back to his side, and then drive it. So the long answer is yes. To me, a boomerang pass is actually really effective versus a zone. We were boomeranging it 30 years ago versus zone. All right, Tom, I want to show your guys this coverage because this is Michigan, okay? And I want you to watch the defender guarding number 2 on the weak side, okay? He is at the left elbow, coaches, and this is a little bit of a flat or drop coverage by the defense. I think that's Nebraska, but can't really tell. I think it's Nebraska. It could be Wisconsin, but I'm not sure. But what I want you to watch is the weak side defender, because when you have a situation where the big man pops instead of rolls, okay, and I think that's Teskey, who can shoot the 3, the big guarding Teskey is absorbing the driver until the defender can get back in front. So what will normally happen on a pop is a stunt from the weak side, okay? So this is good defense, actually. So when Teskey pops, there's no way Teskey's man can get back in front in time. So the weak side defender at the top of the eye, it's a little weak side eye, we call it right there. Watch him stunt over to Teskey in order to buy time for the big man on defense, number 24, to recover. Now, this is a great little wrinkle here by Juwan Howard, because he's been in the NBA his whole life. And one of the great things about NBA coaching is that you're defending the best players in the world and you're trying to stop the best players in the world. So this is something that you see often in the NBA that is absolutely applicable to high school and college. The weak side defender is going to stunt and slow down Teskey from thinking he's open. When that happens, there's the stunt. Watch number 2 cut to the basket. Now, the bottom guy of the eye here, he's got 2 choices. First of all, this cut takes him by surprise. And the other thing Teskey's reading right now is if 2's not open on the cut, he can skip it across to 55 here. Brooks for the open shot. On the stunt, there's what I call a 45-degree cut, and we score it. So do you have that in your arsenal versus teams that stunt on a pick and pop? There's the stunt. There's the read, there's the cut, and again, Brooks would be open on the weak side if his man takes the cutter, which he doesn't. Okay, here's a good little 3-point action that I want you to go back and put this in your 3-point play. Let's see. Okay, so 24 is going to set a ball screen for the big coming up high on a high ball screen. Okay, remember we said before, sometimes we set this screen on the big's man to slow him down and to delay his ability to get out on the ball screen. 24 is a great shooter who's going to be a first-round pick, Aaron Neesmith. But this is a really nice design play if you need a 3-point shot late in the game or you're just trying to get a 3-point shooter open. So 24 is going to be what I would say little for big, and then there's going to be a big for little screen here. So one of the things that we always talk about in our screening actions is, and it's been defeated a little bit lately because of switching. But if teams are not a switching team, little for bigs and bigs for little screens are effective because they're not going to switch equal. So here's a little for big screen to get the big open on the high ball screen. As that happens, the big in the corner is going to screen in for the little. And this is a great little action right here. This kid is a great catch and shoot guy. Your guy's not going to make this shot versus this defense, but if you get him open, it's a good look. But that's a 4-point play right there. This is the same play, so put this in your playbook. Little for big screen. Here comes the ball screen. Big for little. 24's man is stuck in the lane because he was helping. So just put that in your repertoire. One more example. Little for big. Here comes the ball screen. 24 is going to go hide on the baseline, and then he's going to come off the down screen. So it's screen-to-screener action right there. Really nicely done by Jerry Stackhouse and his staff. Okay, another little thing I like here lately is double high horns screens. Okay? two offensive players, the two bigs, just come run up together and almost pinch the defender on the ball and get him caught inside. Okay? As opposed to screening wide and high, they come up together. And this is a good little, one of the things that was asked of me earlier, Tommy, was, how do you teach this? How do you drill all this stuff? Well, one of the things that I think you got to be able to do is use the low crossover here when a defender cheats out early. I used to do this with my boys all the time. So watch the defender in black on Texas Tech. He's going to cheat out on the screen, and Jared Butler is going to cross the ball over below the defender's knees and pat at the ball a little bit and cross him over. Boom, right through it. And then we're going to snake him. We're going to snake the other big. So watch the action right here. Crossover, snake to the rim. Another tight high ball screen here. Crossover, snake to the rim. Now, here's an example of, instead of on this double high tight horn set, the defender at Iowa State is going to show hard and high. Okay, there's a hard head, so now it's a 2-on-1. Now, Mitchell defeats this, okay, and now he's got basically 4 versus 3. And he's going to attack, and I think he drops this off, which he does. Okay, that's a good little action right there. Okay, now, something else as we wind down. Are you teaching the dagger 3? I got this idea from Bob McKillop years ago. I think every ESPN analyst now says this, which I take as a compliment, but it's really Bob McKillop's compliment. But we've called this the dagger 3 forever. And you'll hear some of my brethren say, best time to get an open 3 is off of an offensive rebound. True. Correct. All right? This is what we call the dagger. Shot goes up, offensive rebound, kick out right away. Okay? And the rule I had, let's see what we have here. Does he make this one? Okay. So the rule I had was if you get 2 feet in the paint at the rim, you're allowed to shoot it. But if you offensive rebound outside the paint, you got to immediately kick it out. And the 3 perimeter guys have got to run to make themselves available at the 3-point line. Now, West Virginia's guys, number 3, Osaboyan, is not a great scorer inside, so he's always looking to kick it out anyway off of offensive rebounds. But you'll see right here, McNeil shoots it, offensive rebound, immediately kick out. Okay? We immediately kick out. The defense is disorganized. And so now you can see the guard at West Virginia is going to drive it from the top off an offensive rebound, looking for the dagger 3. So the dagger 3 looks like it's available. The defense closes hard because it's Wichita State and they're a good defensive team. And McNeil will shot fake, rip and go, pull up, okay? I think teaching the dagger 3 off an offensive rebound is a great way for your kids to feel they have an advantage versus the defense. Okay, it gives them something to look forward to, especially if they're a hustle guy who is not a good shooter, who gets an offensive rebound in the lane or slightly out of the lane and can't really score. And you can practice this every single day. You can practice the dagger 3. And I'm telling you that dagger 3 will happen late in the game when you're trying to make a comeback, or in the middle of a game when you're trying to break open a game. It's great basketball, okay? Offensive rebound, kick out for the dagger 3. Okay, there's a shot. Catches it 1 foot outside the lane. This guy was going to kick it out anyway because he's not a scorer. And he wants to stay on the floor. And you'll see him look to kick it out somewhere. Give Wichita credit. They close quickly, okay? And we still end up with a great shot off of this. Normally this is going to be an open 3 here, but Wichita closes out, and we get a shot on the baseline. Okay? Mr. McDonald, I'll open it up for some questions.
I got 2 questions.
Okay.
Coach, how did you structure your practices daily to mandate things that you wanted to go over?
Great question. We did the same thing every single day of my coaching career. The first 20 to 24 minutes, I'd say, of practice was exactly the same thing every day. We called it perfection. Okay. And perfection was part of it, but we did the same: ball handling, dribbling, shooting, passing drills, all within a 24-minute segment. And I used to tell my team, don't get bored if you're getting better. You can run the best plays. You can go to a clinic and get the best plays. You can, but nothing matters more than being able to catch, pass, dribble, and shoot the ball. So I would actually tell my guys midway through the season, don't get bored if you're getting better. We're going to do this first 20 to 24 minutes every single day of your career with me. And I would tell them this: I got news for you. I'm bored too. Okay. I'm bored also because I want to get to 5-on-5. But then I would say to my guys on a particular day, I'd say, hey, Tommy Mack, when's the last time you traveled? Coach, I haven't traveled this year. Yeah, no fooling. Why do you think we do the UCLA drill every day? So we scripted our practices. So the first 24 minutes was all basketball fundamentals, and we were religious about it. A couple of the other things I did that I thought helped practice was this. We continually went offensive segment to defensive segment to offensive segment to defensive segment. So we kept things interesting. I wanted to do that. I said this a long time ago. It's been stolen since. I don't mind it, but I ought to be able to come into any 10 minutes of your practice at any point in time and know what you believe in. I don't care if you're a pressing team or a half-court team or a pack team or a pressure team or a three-point shooting team. I ought to be able to walk into your practice at any point in practice and after 10 minutes know what you stand for as a coach. If you came to my practices, you would see that we were fanatical about intensity, about attention to detail, about execution, about effort, and about competitiveness and about teamwork. And that manifests itself in virtually every part of everything that we did. And so I think one of the things I would suggest to young coaches, and some of you guys have been around a while also, is you have time right now to go back and look at every practice plan of your season and analyze whether drills you were doing actually fit the way you played. There are some drills you're doing because your high school coach did it that way, but yet it doesn't fit the way you play. I think this is a great time of the year, given what we've got all this time on our hands, is to go back and analyze your practices to see if you're getting the most out of practices. Last thing I would tell you, Tom, and then you just keep going. I'll go for another few minutes, right?
Yeah.
If you want me to shut up, I will.
Hey, I got one. You're not going to believe this, but can we get the 5 things again one more time?
I'll be happy to do it.
And
Okay?
We'll type it and put it on the screen.
Yeah, here we go. 5 characteristics of great coaches. Again, this comes from Gordy Chiesa, former NBA assistant and a former NBA guru. Teaching skills. I'll go over these again. Teaching skills, communication skills, organizational skills, motivational skills, and under pressure skills. Are you getting better in all 5 areas in the off season? Okay. Are you getting better? Okay. Another question.
What is the best way to get better at making adjustments and understanding pick and roll coverages?
Watch film. Watch what know what you're looking for. Okay. I will just say this. There are some great YouTube videos right now on and great PDF clinic notes. You can look for, I'll throw some out at you. If you Google Steve Clifford pick and roll defense, if you Google Ettore Messina pick and roll, if you Google Quinn Snyder pick and roll, there's a friend of mine, Igor Kokoshkov, K-O-K, I got to spell it right, K-O-K-O-S-K-E-V. He is assistant coach with the Sacramento Kings. He was the head coach of Phoenix Suns last year. He is a great basketball coach. FIBA coaching clinics. Okay, write this down, folks. FIBA coaching clinics. Google that with Igor's name and pick and roll offense and defense. It's an hour-and-a-half clinic, and he goes over offense versus defense all at the same time. Again, you have to have the ability in pick and roll offense to understand what the 5 defenders are doing, and consequently, if you're studying pick and roll defense, you have to understand what hurts a defensive coverage. That is a great video to watch. It's about an hour and a half. It's easy to understand. It's simple. You can write the diagrams down, and you'll know way more about pick and roll offense and defense than you do just from listening to me today.
One last question, Coach. How do you teach your teams to defend the pick and roll, or did you depend on your personnel?
Well, pick and roll coverage, it involves a number of things. Who is the man with the ball? Who is the screener? Who is guarding the ball? And who is guarding the screener? Because until you know who they are, or I back that up and I say until you know what you're going to see most of during the season and what your guards and bigs are capable of doing, you really don't know what your pick and roll coverage is going to be. For example, if you have a 6'6" football player who is playing center for you and he's 260 pounds, unless he's light on his feet like a dancing bear, you may want to put him in drop coverage the way NBA teams do with their big guys. If you have 5 small guys, you're not going to worry about pick and roll defense because there's a chance you're going to switch at 4 or maybe 5 spots. If you have an active big that can get out quickly and hedge hard and still get back to his man on the roll to the basket, you may want to be a hard hedge team. So you really can't talk pick and roll defensive coverages until you know what you're going to see most of in your league or your district, what can be most disruptive based on your own level of talent and athleticism. So to me, you don't want to be one size fits all. You want to analyze your pick and roll coverage based on the fact that you may have a certain type of athleticism and personnel at the high school level and decide from there.
I'm going to end with this. I think I met Coach in 1997 or 96 at the Iowa Basketball Coach Association Clinic. First guy I ever saw or heard talk about getting in rebounding position on the offensive end on a missed shot. He's the best. The NABC Championship Productions. I'll just say this. Coach mentioned some other places to go to find stuff. I would say this. If you want to look at Fran Fraschilla's videos at Championship Productions, they're some of the best videos ever made. Total content, shares everything, nothing held out. He's the best. I mean, we're happy to have you, proud to have you. Thanks for everything.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of fun. I know some of this stuff you're looking at, like the coaches are going, what? But, you know, you got to be able to stay up on the game. And I think a lot of this stuff is applicable to the high school and college level. Again, a great time to be thinking. And I really, I always love sharing. One of the reasons I love sharing, Tom, is because I've learned so much. Even after I got done coaching, I like to pass it on, especially this international stuff.
All the tweets and all of the chat have been like off the charts. So this webinar series is actually being received unbelievably. So you've been a great asset, and thanks for everything.
Thank you, Tom. And thanks to all the coaches. And, you know, they can follow me on Twitter, and I'll probably get back to them if they have questions.
Have a great day. Stay safe, everybody. We've got 20 minutes and Frank Martin's on. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.